So in this tutorial, I'm going to give you guys some tips on drawing a portrait of a horse, or a horse's portrait. So that means I'm just going to be including like the head and the neck. I'll do another tutorial on drawing like a horse, showing the entire body at some point. First things first, I generally tell you guys, you focus of course on basic shapes and so on, but in drawing a horse in general, I'll share with you some things that I consider that are useful to think about. So for example, let's just say we're looking at it in a two-dimensional sense, right? So you can imagine a shape like this. Now we're gonna kind of I'm gonna draw it maybe in a three-quarter view, so it seems three-dimensional. I like three-quarter view drawings because I think three-quarters give the best sense of volume than any other view. All right, so just in a side view though, it's good to study anything that you're drawing to learn about the proportions, because a side view reveals a lot about something that you're drawing. So with a horse, you know, the basic shape is pretty much something like this. All right, I'd say once you can draw those two flat shapes, you pretty much got the basic feeling of the proportion of a horse. I'd say maybe something more like that, right? Now, the thing is also you're paying attention to the the size of the neck in relation to the head. Now, I generally, when I'm looking at a horse, I generally look at the way how I look for the larger masses. Okay, and of course, when you look, you can see like there's three major areas of the head, right? You can see the jawbone, or that strong predominant form right here, and then a little bridge form right here, and then of course the forms of the mouth. Now it's also important to pay attention to the way the form of, and this is just looking at in a flat view, we're not thinking about volume at this point, right? We're just looking at how the structure of the head is in general. Okay, so of course we know that the mouth is to the lower half, or I would say the lower third of the muzzle, okay? And the nostrils are right at the corner, like right here. So like where this form goes over to right here, that's where you generally find it, okay? And from there, it projects out a little bit and then down like that. This is where the mouth would be. See? And then this form is the lower jaw, so it goes back a little bit like this. See? See, and of course, right around the mouth, there'll be a little flap of flesh. And then there's a little, you can sense the bone here, but you can also sense like a little, it's like what you see below the chin of people who are older, like older people. They have a little flap of flesh here. So you generally see this form that ends right here by the mouth, and then you see another form right here. So you're seeing like two curves, or you can look at it as a line of balance. And then of course you have the larger mass right here. So you think of those three, 1, 2, and 3, right? Now, where this overlaps here, I see sometimes in drawings where people would just have a straight line from going from the throat or the neck, from right where this form is going into the neck. I would make a little curve like this. See, so it's not just like this, it's more like this. See? And the eye generally falls right a little bit. It's almost like I use these little ways of remembering the proportions of things. So you can think of it as like, see this curve right here? If you were to imagine a line going halfway through that, that's where I'd place the eyes. They'll go right here. You can use a little diamond to kind of like sketch that out, see? And then, of course, right in front of the eyes is where, and I would say in line with this one, is where you have a little decline like that. You see what I mean? And then, of course, I usually think of the ears as, see, if you were to continue this curve right around up, that's where the ear would begin, like right there. See, so these are little cues that, it's useful to develop when you're drawing something, because it helps you to remember the structure and to remember the proportions. See? This flows right in front of where the ear is. And then, of course, you know, just putting the mane is just a matter of having these little, you know, forms right here. And this can be used to capture the body of here. So if you think of that in that sense, it's good to have. And if you look at the studies of like Leonardo and Michelangelo and those people, they always have these drawings that they use as like a blueprint of the proportion of anything that they draw. It's a way of remembering. You know, say for example, the mouth is 2/3 down, like that, and the nostril is like taking up the other, say a quarter of the distance, and it's right at the, you know, it's little stuff like that that helps you to remember where things are, how to place them, and the relationship between things in terms of position, size, and space. All right. Now, this is looking at it in a two-dimensional sense. Now, in a three-dimensional sense is where it gets a little bit more challenging. So, for example, you may want to think more like, okay, what are the major volumes, the basic masses that I can use to capture this? See, I'm not thinking about volume here. I'm just thinking about proportion. How do things relate to each other in terms of size and position? Okay. Now, and shape. Now, in terms of this is where you start thinking three-dimensionally. The muzzle, or right here, is perhaps a place that is maybe kind of tricky, but it's also pretty simple because it's almost like a block, and I'm going to use a block to demonstrate that. So I have a block like this. All right. Now, it's just a matter of making this more naturalistic to capture what that muzzle actually looks like. So as I was saying about the nostril is actually at the corner, it's like right here. This is what I mean, at the corner, where the vertex, where all these planes meet. That's where you generally find the nostril. See, just like that. And then the other one on the other side would be pretty much the same position. See, it's like that. Now, as I was saying about this, see, now I'm looking at this in a three-dimensional sense. See where this goes out and then comes back? It's almost like this goes out like this, and then comes back like that. That's where this is going on. It's going under. See, this is facing down. And then, of course, it curves around. See that? And in the same sense, the lower lip or lower jaw is almost like another block underneath. It's like that. And then the chin is like a smaller one, like that. And see this right here? I'm imagining it ends right here. So now I'm thinking of this two-dimensionally, and I'm putting it in a three-dimensional form right here. You see, I start with a block, and then, see, now with this, you can easily start shading this in a three-dimensional sense. See? And then this form would be right here, and then this larger form would be a larger rounded mass right here. Then you're not thinking of this as a circle, you're thinking of it as a sphere. See, this is like, you're thinking of it almost like a mass like that, and a mass like this. And whenever you draw things like this, you have to be able to imagine what is a cross contour. See? Because when you do it like this, it enables you to shade it a lot easier, because you're thinking of it as a spherical form that goes around like this. So when you're using the lines to shade it, that's how you'll do it. And also this will overlap this form. See, like that. It helps to create the sense of mass and volume in three-dimensional space. Of course, then you can go in and start modifying. Also, before I actually do a drawing right here, I also point out, like when I'm drawing the ear, I think of the ear as like, imagine a cylinder like this. I'll do it with my green one. I like using these different colors. So it's like you have a cylinder like this. Right? Now let's go to the next one. You have the cylinder. Now I'm going to slice it. Just like I'm doing like this. See that? I just cut away a section of it. And then after that, you pretty much got it. It's just a matter of And again, you know, people may say, why not just draw this, and why think of this? And it's because this, by thinking of it as a basic form, it enables me to feel the volume. See, I'm feeling this as a three-dimensional form going around. So when it's time to shade this, you know, it's a lot easier. I'm thinking of inside here as like the inside of a cylinder. Then you can decide where you want to put the emphasis, your stronger lines. If I'm using cross-hatching, I'm thinking of it as a cylinder, just like I would do this or would do this. See? So I'm going to do a drawing here, and you guys will see how I go through the entire process of sketching it out and just proceeding with going from 2D to 3D, you know, using the same methods that I've shared with you before. So you can see here how I'm thinking of both my, this is like the 2D, you know, and this is the 3D. So I incorporate both. I use the 2D as a way of just getting a quick sense of how do the elements or the different features relate to each other in terms of shape and size and position. See, I'm using this, and then this is my 2D version where I use this as a way of getting a sense of the structure, the overall structure and mass and form of everything. See, I'm sketching out the ear here, and here I just fuse them all together. See these three main these areas, and I pretty much just, you know, individualize it or make it a little more organic. But this, when I'm drawing this, I'm really just having the basic forms in mind. But yes, when I'm done, it looks a little bit more organic and natural, but that's where I started. This is just giving you the basic foundation of how to approach drawing a horse's head or a portrait of a horse, okay?